My name is Ed Dipolina, and we're very happy to give you a welcome to this online course, GIS for Agriculture, where we'll be focusing on the first steps to organize and share farm information. I hope that everyone is listening well. First things to introduce ourselves and to introduce how this course works. Maybe it's get familiar with the webinar interface. This was a web seminar that we're holding to introduce to the course. So you'll see in your right side of the screen, or maybe left, a control panel where you have audio, and here you have some tools that you can use. For instance, you can raise your hands, or you can chat to insert a question, comment. So I hope that everyone is listening well. And just to begin with a quick question, just to make sure that everyone is listening and everything's working well, I'm going to launch a poll. If you have participated on a previous online course, if you have a frequent participant, if you have only once. So if you'd like to share your vote here, it's just to make sure that we're communicating, and then we'll go with the formal introductions. So if you'd like to share your comments, maybe one more. I'm going to be closing and sharing. So I will share the results, and here we have a pretty split poll. Some quite a few times have only once or just a few times, and 25% for it's my first time. So, just a quick question to use the chat window. From which region are you joining us from, and what are your main crops of interest? So I'm going to send out a chat question just to use the chat window, and also to learn a little bit about your region and your crops. That will be, or forest. There are a few foresters as well. So if you'd like to use the chat window to share those comments, you are welcome to do so. So you see there in the chat window, if you'd like to enter some information. You may go ahead. So no chats coming in, and I'm just going to continue. Before we start and go to the question, what info we'll be using, I'll also like to introduce myself and the course participants. This is part of a larger training program where the first course it's free. It's to get started. It's to organize and share farm information, and there are a number of other options. For instance, in the second course, we focus on imagery and data collection, and then most of the other courses are focused on precision farming and field variability, on variable rate technologies, on yield monitors, on-farm research. So this is part of the first course. And in this first course, we'll be hosting and facilitating this course. I'd like to introduce ourselves. My name is Ed Dipolina, and I'm come from the GIS, Geographic Information Systems side. And also we'll have the participation of Francis Yidma, who's a crop consultant, and he's a regional partner in South Africa. Has a lot of experience in both as a producer and as a farmer and a crop consultant. So he'll be telling us his experience, which is very, very interesting. So this is from our side. From your side, I would like just to introduce you to your colleagues participating in this course. So I'm going to log into virtual training or virtual classroom, which is at training.geoagro.com, where you can log in with the username and password that you used for signing up for this course. And after you go in, you will see this online course, GIS for Agriculture 1. And the purpose now was just to introduce you. There are 38 people who have signed up from Argentina. Well, Argentina is only one, but United States, South Africa, Brazil, Swaziland, Zambia, Tanzania. So we have a pretty spread out audience. Canada, Guatemala. So it's pretty interesting, and it's going to be very, very interesting to exchange ideas and comments from those different regions. So I'll go back. So I hope everyone is listening well, on board. The other important aspect before we start with the presentation, it's that you can use. There's an icon there to raise your hands. So if you like to ask any questions or just make any comments, you could use the chat window, or you could use the raise your hands, and I will turn on your microphone so you can share. We put it mute just to keep the noise level low, but you can raise your hand and share any comments, ideas at any time. Okay, so this is the question where we start from. What info do we use to manage crops? And again, there's a couple of foresters as well, so you could say crops/forest. And even though all the tools are focused on crop management, they're also applicable to forest management. So these are some of the information levels that we can manage, from crop rotation, seed applications, yields, all the operations in the field, the soil sampling, the visits, water management. So this can be organized in layers with associated information, with GPS devices, smartphones, with the equipment that we can read data from. Remote sensing provides also information. We'll see that this can be as simple as it can be as information rich as we want it to be. There's so much information that you know, we have so many options today. Now the big question is, how do we manage all this information? How do we register, analyze it, and how do we turn this into knowledge about knowing more about your fields, your land, and making the best decisions, or as good as possible decisions? So we're going to, of course, there are many aspects. One tool that we've been working on for years is the use of geographic information systems and related technologies, meaning GPS, the sensors in the machine, the information that comes from the satellite, whatever you register when you go to the field. So everything can be georeferenced, basically. And we're going to find some basic uses. You can use it just to measure an area, just for logistics, to see how far away is the sugar mill. You could audit the operations that are being carried out in the field. Okay, you can use it for advanced uses, more agronomic uses, for directed sampling, remote sensing monitoring, estimating yields from the air, variable rate applications, on-farm research, and there's a long, long list. So now, also to have a little bit of your feedback, and also to better orient this course, the second question of the evening, it's morning or afternoon, it's if you're using GIS, and if it's your first experience, if you're a pretty experienced user, that's very important to know and to focus this course and to see how we can assist in starting to use these tools. So if you'd like to share, there are a few more remaining that we'd like to, we don't know who are remaining. We know how many are remaining with this polls. So just let us know, just one more, and we'll be set. So I'm going to share this, and this is also good to know. From those 38 colleagues from different locations, we see that over 70%, 71% have not yet used it, and if you are pretty experienced, and if you are doing their first tries. So it's very interesting to know, and will be really the training is and the tools are oriented to be as simple as possible. So it's also good news. We're not looking to make advanced application in this first 3 weeks. Also, you'll see that it's pretty simple, straightforward, and it won't take much of your time. It's just to make the first steps in using, and you will see later, what we call a web GIS, which is available online, and you don't need to install anything, and a desktop GIS, where you need to install software in your computer. So we'll be using both options. So I'm sharing the results, and now I'm hiding to continue. So hopefully all those other training options will be depending on your interest on this advanced user, and many, many more, of course, and some that you will we're always learning. Our role is to provide the tools, to facilitate, to provide the training, to provide the services, but we're always learning. We're a support organization for agronomists, for crop advisors, for producers. So we're always learning about the uses, and the uses sometimes are unexpected, and we're always learning about different regions on how they use these tools. In some regions, maybe topography, the limiting factor. In some regions, maybe saline soils. In some regions, they want to optimize a very rich production area with precision farming. So it varies from place to place. So the concept here, the very basic concept, is that just like an architect cannot live without AutoCAD or MicroStation or any CAD software, and this has really become a part of their language, also a photographer can make a model look very pretty with Photoshop or a similar tool. Just like that, and sometimes they overuse Photoshop, just like that, GIS, we understand as a new language in agriculture, both for producers and crop advisors, where we have large production areas, we have long distances, we have multiple sources of information, and what we need is to summarize this data, to model reality, to understand it's a biological phenomena, but still you can model it and simplify it to support, and make some simplifications to support a decision. So it's not always perfect, but at least it's a way to summarize data and turn this into information. And the challenge is to integrate a team, integrate the data that comes from machine, the data comes from remote sensing, from a GPS. So we understand this as a new language in agriculture, just like the other examples. Having said that, just a few slides about us, what we do, just so you have an idea of where we're coming from. About GeoAgro, we are working in this business for now more than 10 years, and the way we work, it's we focus on the geographic information systems and also in providing farm services. So you'll see that as you move along with these applications, our role is to facilitate processing from machines, processing from remote sensing, and facilitating the management of all this information. And hopefully in this course we'll see how we'll give the initial steps to assist you in start managing the information in your farm. Second aspect is technology transfer. So we do a lot of training and implementation, and we'll give you, we don't want to bore you with our services today. We'll show how this comes together in different uses in the third session of this training. And of course, agronomic partners or local solutions, it's key to us. Wherever we're providing this service, we have an agronomic partner who is localizing all this tools and information to make it understandable and applicable for the local conditions. So I got lost in the slides. So basically, we have office in Argentina and the US, and we have been very focused on methods to implement precision farming, GIS, and remote sensing. We have focused a lot on precision farming in South America, and now I should say South Africa, neighbor countries. And in the US, we have been working more as a partner of the USDA in conservation planning for 5 years. And now it's more oriented to production services. We're also working in Europe, in Germany. Very interesting product for providing seed recommendations for corn growers. And we also work with the small and large producers to support them through local agronomists, and with the seed fertilizer providers. So those are the, let's say, the two areas that where we help with this tool. So going back, what we're going to review in this training, we're going to review two tools. One is a web-based tool called Farm 360, which is a web GIS, where you can start organizing, visualizing, and sharing your information. It's very simple to use. You don't need to install software, and it's for every user level. So with no GIS training, you can start using it. And then GIS, it's the desktop GIS. It's for those of you who are using GIS. It's like a simplified ArcView. It's more oriented for agronomic use with simpler functions. This is more powerful and it's more for advanced users. And you will be reviewing this, the first steps in the first week of the course in Farm 360, and the first steps in the second week of the course in GIS. So this is what we're going to be reviewing. I mean, we're going to be using these tools to start organizing and sharing your farm information in this course, and we'll see an example in 10 or 15 minutes from now. And the third week will be more oriented to reviewing user experiences. What we are bringing is videos and recordings and experiences from leading producers, from innovative crop advisors, from input suppliers. Those are the three main groups. And hopefully the idea with this is to maybe reach a conclusion from your side to see, okay, where can I make this profitable, this applicable, this environmentally helpful, all this technology. So just by reviewing this user experiences, some of these experiences hopefully will bring ideas, and also ideas from your side. That's why the last and most important is you to see where where this fits in your picture, where this technology fits in your picture. And this is the last one, I promise. How would you describe your activity? Because for instance, if you're a crop input provider, maybe you will be thinking more of providing the best recommendation possible for your farmer. If you're a producer, you'll be, how can I optimize my production cycle? If you're a crop forest advisor, how do I address the limiting factors for my grower client? So it's very interesting to know also, and if you'd like to share, there are a few more remaining. If you'd like to share, how would you best describe your activity? But probably you're more than one option. But what is closest to your activity? You'd like to share this, and I'm going to close in a few seconds and share that. So it's pretty split. It's 1/3 for crop input providers, for advisors and producers, going to be very sharing the results. So this is what we're going to be reviewing in the third week of the course, these user experiences. Just to give you an advance, well, this is a very interesting material that we are, since most of the precision farming, the initial activities were in South America, It's in Spanish, the first version, and we're releasing the second version in Spanish and English, hopefully someday in Portuguese, because we're also starting in Brazil. So it's, I'm turning some pages. So for instance, it will bring case studies of variable density in seeding, and here you have some returns in the order of almost $300 per hectare because the corn seed is very expensive. Variable reposition of phosphorus in barley with $38 per hectare. So it's well, or how the speed of seeding can impact on yield. So one of the information, one of the layers of information that you may want to map and control, it's how fast was the seeding price, the operations was done correctly. So maybe it's not precision farming, it's just auditing the operations, and this brings benefits of $119 per hectare. So in the third session, we'll be analyzing some case studies, how these three groups are using this. And these three groups are very interrelated because the crop input provider is trying to advise the best seed or fertilizer product, and if he doesn't get resolved, then he will lose a client. So all these three segments are pretty much related. So now, without further delay, or as a next step, we'll go into the online training environment. How are you going to interact with this online training, which is, by the way, it's very, very efficient. Last year we trained over 500 agronomists and consultants. This year, in the first course, we just had 200 in the first initial 2 courses, so we expect that will be over maybe 1,500 people from around the world that will be getting trained with these methods over the year. And the tools are very simple, basically 3 tools. Email, we'll be communicating a lot of email. I know that's now young people use Facebook, or now professionals or colleagues use LinkedIn, and maybe email is not so fashionable, but we'll be using email as one of the main ways of communicating. So you'll be receiving notification about the course when new material is uploaded, when the presentation is available. So email will be used a lot. 2 webinars, what we're doing right now. We'll have a webinar today, April 9th, and we'll have a webinar on the 3rd week, April 23rd, where we'll be presenting on some of the users' experiences. We won't be having a webinar in between. We'll be just notifying you when the material is available, so you can start working with your farm information, the 2 tools that we visited, Farm 360 and GIS. And the last one is the virtual classroom, where we'll be having all the training materials. So now I will go to the virtual classroom. So there are 2 ways to access this virtual classroom. One is to go to geoagro.com and click on this link, access to virtual classroom. Here you have all the dates for the different training sessions. You can click there. The other is just remember, just enter training.geoagro.com, so both will lead you there. Will take you to a virtual classroom. You will only see one course. I have several because I'm overseeing many courses. And the first thing that you will see when you go in, of course, you will have to log in with a username and password that you set up when you register for this course. So it's the same username and password. And as a student, you will be able to see all the training material, which is very simple. If you have problems, questions, comments at any time, there's a blog there that says need help. So we are always happy to give you a call if you wish, or just describe your question or issue, and maybe we can solve it by email. So here, if you like to be reached, you can put your both number, your phone number. Here you have some letters that you have to enter just to avoid spam. So here, just click on your name, email, and you can ask for help anytime. Then there are a couple of files that we recommend to review, which is the student's guide that will take you to how this works, which is what we are reviewing now, how to navigate the course, what the resources that you will be using. So we review now the books, the forums to exchange opinions, activities, the quizzes. And the syllabus is, of course, always every course has, so you have an idea of what you're going to be reviewing. As we said, in the module 1, we'll be reviewing Farm 360, which is a web GIS. You'll be setting up your farm. And then in module 2, we'll be downloading that into a GIS desktop system. And then we'll see GIS application agriculture, what information agriculture means, and what georeference record keeping and precision management and different experiences. You can see your colleagues there that are joining. And if you would like to, you can go to your own profile, and you can edit that profile to input your information, so other people can learn about how you, what your interest, your work. It's always good to, and maybe your picture, so we know each other. That's my daughter. I have two. Always, if you get lost in these courses, there's always a link, what we call breadcrumb, because you can go back to your home location, just like Hansel and Gretel, and click on that and the name of the course, and go back to the main screen. And then you can work on the first week. The idea is that from today, Tuesday, till next Tuesday, you can complete this, which, if you're an experienced user, it will take 1 hour or less. If you're a new user of GIS, it will take 2 hours approximately. But there you can review a book where you have all instructions about setting up your farm in Farm 360. So there you have some videos about drawing your farm, drawing your fields, your no-crop areas, and your crops. So it's a first step to draw your farm. And I'm going to show you how it works, because it's very simple. Basically, you go to geoagro.com, and you have a link there called Farm 360. If you haven't logged in, you will it will ask you for your username and password, which is the same they use when you register and the same they use to go to the online training. And here I'm going to enter a sample. I'm going to go into one sample farm, a demo farm, just to give you an idea. And when you start registering this information in this Farm 360, you will have different layers of information, such as, I'm just playing with the layers, but this is, the idea is that during this training sessions you will be registering different information about your farms. In your case, you will just go to, because you're starting from scratch in this tool, the first step is to set up your farm name, your farm. So I'm going to say 2013, and depending if I'm in the US, it's acres. In South Africa, Europe, Canada, I think it's hectares. And then I will be in an editing screen. I can go anywhere, locate my farm. You could, let's say, turn on your, this is based on Google Hybrid, so you can turn on Google Hybrid for better location. I'll go just northwest, maybe Idaho. And then a lot of irrigation there. I'm just going to start with a nice square. So, and if you're in an irrigated area, you have, I'm going to start with a simple example, and then as you get into more complex shapes, we'll be assisting you to use the right tools. So I'm just going to use the basic tools. And basic tools would be to create a farm. I'm just going to go this direction. So I'm just clicking for every endpoint. I'm going to be clicking on the farm. And then on the fields, I will be creating some fields. If I don't like the farm, I can always edit and move things around. So all this will be explained. And then I'm going to go to fields and create my field. And then I may want to label my fields as field 1 and field 2. So these are the exercise that you will be doing on your own farm. And then I may want to draw some crops and label those crops. So I'm going to click on the crops layer and then start drawing. So all of this will be shown step by step. And then I may want to say, okay, here I have potatoes, and here, I don't know, I'm just making it up. So those are the basic steps that we're going to be following in the first week. Just set up your farm. Now it's set up, and when you go in, you will see, so you will be getting familiar with this tools. And also we're going to be learning how to share this with your team. So I'm going to share with one of our developers. I'm going to say AB, and I'm going to give him edit rights. I'm going to notify him. I'm just click on submit. So this user, when he goes into Farm 360, he will be able to see the demo GIS one. So, and there are a lot of details, there are a lot of options. For instance, for those of you who are already using GIS, most likely you will be importing from a existing from your existing boundaries. So it's very easy to import as a KML from Google Earth, or as a shapefile from RV or ArcGIS. So you can also import your files. Okay, going back to the classroom. I'm going to see if there are any questions. If you have any questions, if you'd like to raise your hand, or you can just enter them in your chat window. So I'm just going to send out a message. just in case you have any questions that you can see in the chat window. So this is one part. This is what we're going to be doing when we follow this book. There will be an activity which is create your farm in Farm 360 and share it with one of so this is just a demo, a test, so there will not be in this course any confidential information uploaded. It's just the boundaries, but it's just to see if you have uploaded them correctly, if you have any questions, or if not, you can just say I've uploaded my farm and that's it. So this is on the assignment side. It's just to give you step-by-step list of what we would like to achieve in this first week. There's a very simple quiz. It's the multiple choice, that just to make sure that you got all this information. And this is what is required to complete the course. Something very important is to introduce yourself, to see where you're from, what's your job about, and maybe what your expectations are from the course, to make sure that we can assist and we can try to make this as useful as possible from your side. So as part of the activities, you'll see that there's an activity to share. In this form, you can just click reply there, and you can share there what I work with sugar beet in such region. And also maybe what would you like, what are your priorities, what is your motivation to start looking into GIS as an option to, or if you're already using GIS, what would you like to achieve this year with the use of these tools? So hopefully, well, how are you doing so far? It's my question. If you have any questions, comments, any suggestions, if you'd like to share them by chat, if this is working well, if you're listening well, and if this looks interesting, please share it. Again, this is it's the goal here is to have a step in creating your farm in the web. Second week will be first steps in creating your farm in the desktop tool. Yeah, you will see that you have other features available, and both tools work together. For instance, just to give you an example, I'm going to give you an example of how this would work. I will go to a sample farm. I'm going to look for a farm and where I know that we have some remote sensing. So let's say that you have started to use remote sensing to keep track of your crops during the crop season. So in the WebGIS, you will be able to request these services and distribute this and make a report, and there's almost no need for training. Any user can just do this, go to the farm and click on the compass, and then start seeing the remote sensing that we got. Now, if you would like to use this to guide a field visit, I'm just going to click it on and off, and you can see that from the aerial there are some areas with problems, and from what we're seeing now, which is a vegetation index, which is an expression of the biomass, these are some of the applications that we'll be seeing in the third session. But the first goal is to have you set up your farm so you get familiar, you see how easy it is, and then we can start talking about many different applications that we can use to support crop management. So remote sensing is one of the things. So here you will see, I'm just going to put, for instance, these are the type of things that you will be doing when you set up your farm. So I'm going to put the well, I'm trying to drag layer, it's not letting me. Well, there it is. So I'm just rearranging to see the fields. So you may want to use this to go to the field visit, to the field. So there where and you don't have online connection, you have an internet connection in the field. So in this case, you will be downloading this to your desktop and maybe go with your laptop and you can get your GPS connected and then you see your location. So all of these interactions, how you use different tools, will be visited gradually in this training. So that's why the training, it's designed. I'm just going to go to the training. So when you go to a training, in the next course, for instance, you will see how you can use the imagery and how you use your tablet or smartphone. So the idea here is to go gradually and start using these technologies. And the idea is that in this course, the final goal is to identify where you can make the most out of this technology. So that's where we want to go with this course. I'm just going to open. Well, we have a comment. Ferdy, thank you. Everything's working well. Thank you for confirmation. And now, if you like to use the chat window just as a closing of today's presentation. And before that, in summary, so right after we finish this presentation, we'll send you an email with 2 steps how to log into this online training. And then you can start reviewing the material, you can review this book, and you can start digitizing your farm or importing your farm. Introduce yourself in the forum, and then just finalize with a quiz. And if you have any questions, any problems because things always happen, not always, but sometimes happen, you can go to this form here in the right. If you need help, please click here. So just let us know. We're always happy to assist. We're always happy when someone starts working with the technologies. This is what we do. So we're always happy to help. So that's a conclusion from this. And just as the last question, how, or maybe if you'd like to share, what are your crops of interest, which region, and maybe where are you in the crop season? If you're starting to see, if you're planning the season, if you're harvesting, if you're in the middle, depends on the region where you are. So if you'd like to share that, if you're working, and also what are your limiting factors in your area? Because that's when this gets interesting. Just to give you an example, we have a producers organization in Colombia that they raise bananas, and they are using a lot of the main issue is it's pest control and also water, and both are related because they are not currently monitoring the water balance, so they tend to over-irrigate. And this, in turn, because also it's a tropical climate, may also produce or make the pest issue worse, and at certain times of the year they have to apply a lot of agrochemicals with the what that means for the environment and for their costs, which are very high. So it's always the first starting point for all this. It's, you know, what is your issue? Where are the priorities? Where can you win money? Where you can earn money, or where you can also make this more environmentally sustainable? How can you take care of the resource of the soil if you want to try crop rotations, if you want to try no-till, and if you want to test the results? All of that, you know, that's where the problem starts, and that's where we're happy to help. And so that's why it's always interesting to know what is the limiting factor. So if you like to share this on, you know, what are your crops of interest, which region, please go ahead and send us a chat. It's always it's this one when this gets interesting, basically. So if you wish, you can share it now, or maybe in the forum. And Western Cape, we have hi Sean, and pastures, hops, berries, vegetables. And if others would like to share. Also, there the technology does not fit all. We have pretty good experience in well, it's South America, in Argentina. It's soybean, wheat, corn, and barley, and canola, etc. Those are extensive crops, not irrigated, so the problems there are totally different than South Africa or the Midwest or anywhere we go. So and the technology will be different. So we're always looking for ways to use this technology in the most efficient way. So any other opinions or comments? Otherwise, we would like to invite you. Okay, we have here sugarcane in Swaziland in the beginning of the season. Thank you, Linda. And then we have FERDI soil moisture monitoring on an hourly basis. Whoa, so that's pretty adjusted. So one of the things is planning ahead as far as irrigation goes, and this will also help with fertilizing. And the main goal, of course, is to add value to the farmer. And what range of crops? Maize is in the harvesting process. Well, thank you, FERDI. And I'm jumping ahead, and I'm going to be opening it's in Spanish because these are for sugarcane production in Guatemala. This is an ongoing proposal. But just to show you how, well, in Argentina, we were not so aware of the irrigation issues because most of the production is non-irrigated. When we go to the U.S., some areas are, some areas are not. In some other areas, we're finding how critical this is, like in Africa and Central America, Colombia, the west of Argentina, Colorado, Kansas. So we're learning. So we start with precision farming without irrigation. Now we're learning about how important this is. So one of the things is we start with the methodological variables, and so when we set up the system, we look into, you know, what is the pattern, what are the patterns, and what is the behavior this season, if they're over the average or below. And then also there's possibility of monitoring with satellites with very frequent, and these are freely available, so this doesn't raise the cost. For instance, to keep track of evapotranspiration, the reference evapotranspiration, and the real evapotranspiration, which comes from the actual conditions of the soil and crops that you have in the area. And then this can there's a methodology which is widely globally accepted for keeping track of the water balance. This water balance can be done on a regional basis or can be done on a farm and field basis if you have the weather station and if you have the soil information and the crop information in that field. So this is, for instance, what I was trying to identify, trying to explain, that depending on your region, crops, limiting factors, all these GIS technologies, GIS and related technologies, will make sense if you use it. This is very obvious. I'm sorry, so it's so obvious, to solve a problem. But you have to identify the problem, and then starting with the problem, you say, okay, we can integrate this information, we can use this methodology, and then we can summarize all this information in a simple graph that your user can see, okay, I'm getting close to the withering point, I'm going to turn on sprinkler, and then I'm going to keep track of that irrigation, of that evapotranspiration with the system, and then I'm going to keep track of that with the water balance. So this is just an example that based on Ferdy's comment, that how we're going to be, as we get close to the end of the course, hopefully identify where all this technology can help in your crop production or your input recommendation. So I hope that just last question, useful, boring, too much info. We'll see how it works. I'm just suggesting how do you feel about this? What do you have? The only bad thing about online training is that you don't see the faces. So you may be bored or you may be excited, but also on the other hand, it gives a lot of opportunities to exchange, and this is amazing how we exchange information from different parts of the world and how they have found solutions in other areas, how they apply this technology in a training environment. So hopefully you'll find this useful, and we can contribute just a little to use these tools efficiently for the issues that you're facing in your area. So that would be all for today. Will, as I mentioned, you'll be receiving an email with next steps, and any problems, just click on the need help. If you cannot get it on, just send us an email to support@uagro.com. We'll send you the instructions in the email. So, and if you don't receive it, look in your spam inbox just in case it went there. Well, thank you very much. I hope that you have a very interesting and productive experience with this course, and we are here to help, so we look forward to your participation. Thank you, and we'll see you in person, between quotes, in 2 weeks from now, but we'll be exchanging emails and send you notifications about material available and following up with you on completing this training this week, the next week, and the last week we'll be reviewing user experiences. Thank you very much, and have a great day, or the rest of the day for those of you in Africa. Thank you. Bye-bye.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.